So my name is Drew Pierce. I'm here with PFL light heavyweight Jordan Young. Jordan, how you doing today, man?
I'm doing good, bro. Just finished a nice hard wrestling practice in American today.
Awesome. Most of your time, as a professional fighter was spent with Bellator. How did that promotion kind of shape you as a fighter, and what ultimately led to you moving on?
I had some good fights in Bellator. They gave me some good up and comers. The first few fights I had in the promotion, I moved up to light heavyweight. So that was a big change for me. I had my first four light heavyweight fights within their promotion, and I won 3 of those. So I finished with the total record of 6-1. Ultimately, they helped me get verified. They helped put me on that stage and give me some good camps in American Top Team for like some higher level fights. But when I did take that loss, I had to go get a major surgery on the back end. When it came time to renegotiate a new contract, I just wasn't too fond of what was brought to the table for me.
Gotcha, for sure. What was it about PFL specifically that made you think, hey, this is an organization that I wouldn't mind fighting for?
I like the tournament setup. I like that everything is earned and not given. You know what I mean? Like there's no favorite system in this. Either you're winning fights and you move forward in the tournament, or you don't, and you're step back and your season ends. I also like that for the first time in my career, I'm gonna be able to collect a nice check, and then 30 days later go compete again, collect another check. This is good for I think not only my personal life and just business as well, but also my skill set. I think that being able to get in there and then get in there again 30 days after is just it's going to help elevate the training and as well as the mindset.
Absolutely. Is there someone, a fighter or two at 205 that really catches your attention that you'll probably have to face somewhere down the line?
Who knows in this setup, because it's two things are variant in this league. One, the matchups you get because you have no control over it, but two, how the other fighters do as well, because let's say I don't get matched up with a certain fighter this fight or the next fight, they could lose both of those fights and then not even be in the tournament. You know what I mean? So it's an interesting setup. I think that there's some good names in the division. I'm looking forward to competing with them. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. You kind of mentioned it already, but for the first time in your career, you're coming off a loss, as a professional. What is that like, and what is your mindset going forward trying to rebound from that?
The opponent I'm fighting, he's coming off of a couple losses as well. His last loss was a knockout loss a couple years ago. So even though it's been a long time for me fighting, it's been an even longer time for him. I can't speak for him, but for myself, the loss, it was my first loss. So it definitely took a little bit of pressure off the shoulders, if you will. It opened the eyes to some new things as far as what's possible and as far as just how bad things can get. You know what I mean? There was a couple of things that were in my control and a couple of things that were out of my control in that fight, the injury being one of the latters. I think that my mindset is improved. I think that I'm a little more mature in my career, and I think my mind is open to what's possible.
Absolutely. And speaking of your opponent, Rama, it seems like he has some pretty big potential, knockout power. What are you going to kind of do to handle that and maneuver around it?
Yeah, it seems that he has some good hands. He used to fight at heavyweight. A lot of these guys he knocked out, though, are not on my level. You know what I mean? He's knocked out a couple good fighters, but most of the fighters that he knocked out, I wouldn't put their defense or their footwork on the level with mine. And to answer your question, defense and footwork, you know what I mean? Those are key. You can be a good boxer. There's some good boxers that still get hit. You know what I mean? They stand in the pocket, or they take those risks to do certain movements, and it can leave you vulnerable to getting hit. This Rama guy, he's a right-handed southpaw. Seems his best punch is his right hook. This just reminds me of you ever played a Fight Night video games? You know what I mean?
Sure,
Growing
yeah.
up. So you play Fight Night video games, and you're in your pro career in the game, and your guy might say when you're fighting this guy, he has a strong right hook. So if he hits you with this right hook, then you're going down. And so in that game, you just have to avoid that specific strike. You know what I mean? So of course you can get knocked out with anything in this sport, but I've identified his 3 to 4 power strikes that I feel he frequently goes to and uses to try to remove his opponents from his consciousness. And I think the key is to just be aware of those techniques. Just keep my eyes on the prize. Just be very alert on fight night.
For sure. He has a little bit of experience with PFL. I believe he was in the organization back in 2018. Do you think that gives him any sort of edge on what to expect, or is this 3 years removed kind of not playing into that?
Was that his last fight with them? Was it 2018?
I think so. And then he moved back, but I could have that wrong.
Yeah, you're right, because his last fight was a knockout loss in the PFL. It's been a long time since he fought. I think that 3 years is a long time. The benefits that I would give him is knowing some of the staff, knowing some of the people who work for the promotion and how they run things. But I'm sure that some of those people have been moving around in their positions, as well as no one has dealt with COVID or having to be locked down in a bubble for 17 days. And I think that actually it's the opposite. Like, he hasn't dealt with the bubble as well as I haven't dealt with the bubble. So it's going to be a battle of who can not only deal with it better, but who can plan for it. You know, from what I can see, the gym that he's training at, there's no other fighters on the card from that gym. My gym has 2-3 other fighters on the card, and we're going to be there. Our presence will be felt, you know, with coaching staff and training partners. And I think that, you know, that's a benefit that I have going into this whole ordeal, is just being able to keep a much more stable training routine with coaches and training partners.
For sure. Is there even a real way to prepare for having to go into a 2+ week bubble and then have to, you know, get on the world stage? Like, can you even do anything right now to like really prepare for that?
No, I don't really think so. I think that it's something that you kind of have to feel and go with a little bit and experience. You know, the interesting thing is that, like, we have to quarantine, and then, you know, we fight, we go home, we have like a month, 30 days to be home, then we come back to quarantine again. So come around the second one, I think that, you know, there'll be things that be aware of and know what to expect. But the first one, just kind of trying to make the best of the situation, go there with a couple check bags and be ready to set up shop and make it the most comfortable environment that I can.
Absolutely. How's your experience at American Top Team been so far?
You know, it's been amazing. I've been there for a little over 4 years, and I came there back in 2014 for the first time to check them out. I have a great team there. I have a great coaching staff, and I actually just left a meeting with my head coach, Conan Silveria, and we were working on my schedule a little bit, you know, which coaches I'm going to be finishing this camp out with. You know, I'm in great hands. You know, we've been voted the best gym in the world multiple times within the last few years, and that's for a reason. You know, not only do we have multiple champions, but everything's clicking. You know, we've had, I believe, 3 or 4 PFL champions alone. So we're very familiar as a gym and coaching staff with how the process is and what exactly is a good formula to turn out champions at the end of this season, you know?
For sure, yeah. What is it kind of like to be brushing elbows with some of the legendary people, you know, in the sport at large, kind of on a daily basis?
No, it's crazy, you know, like growing up, Dustin Poirier was one of my favorite fighters. I just took a picture with him right before I left wrestling practice. He gave me one of his new hot sauces. You know, be sure to check it out, the Poirier Louisiana style. I haven't tried it yet. I'm definitely I'm juicing today actually, but tomorrow after sparring, when I get my first meal, I'll be sure to crack that open and throw some on. There's cool little perks like that. And then, like, you know, there's cool guys that are like legends in the sport. Like everybody loves George Masvidal. You know, he's a superstar right now. I remember helping him out for his camp with Donald Cerrone. I remember helping him out for his camp for Darren Till. These are kind of on the rise before he takes off. To me, he's been the same guy. He hasn't changed, you know, a lick with how he, you know, acts with me or anything like that. So, you know, these guys are dope to be around. And also they're a great example to see, you know, what it's like at the highest level, but also what you can expect, how to carry yourself when you touch the money and get to that spot.
Absolutely. I believe you're the youngest light heavyweight in PFL right now. Does that kind of add a little bit of a chip on your shoulder to, you know, prove yourself and say, hey, I might be young, but I can get this done?
You know, I don't really take any negatives from it. 26 is like a young age, but it's such a grown age. You know what I mean? Like at 26, you're kind of set in your ways. And like, I'm the youngest, but I don't think I'm considered a kid. Like, if I was to go and do something ignorant or, you know, break the rules, I would be judged for that. I wouldn't be given like mercy, like, oh, you know, he's a kid, you know, turn a shoulder to that, turn an eye to that. So I'm looking at it as just the opportunity to etch my name in some sort of history, if you will, the further I go into the tournament. You know, I don't know what the ages were the last 2 seasons, but I doubt they've had, you know, somebody that young. Most times people are older in these spots, you know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, for sure.
I'm a fresh 26-year-old. To me, I'm a little spoiled out on the young age thing. Like, it's cool, but like, you got to remember that 3 years ago, I was 22, 23 years old in Bellator, and I had, you know, I was doing my thing and I was undefeated, and I couldn't get these guys to like promote me as a young up and coming fighter to save the life of me. So I just kind of got burnt out on a couple things. Although I do appreciate that I'm the youngest fighter in the division, I think that I'm going to show some positive things with that. Doesn't really mean anything to me at this point.
Absolutely. Is that kind of, you know, a perk of being with PFL? Do you see the marketability of fighters kind of on the rise? Especially, we're seeing it obviously at the high stages like the UFC and stuff, but do you see an untapped, you know, potential for marketability in PFL?
Yeah, for sure. They're not questioning what they have. You know what I mean? Like, Bellator had me under, and this isn't anything negative against them, but they had me under roster and under contract, and I'm on the roster, and I'm holding a, you know, record for 2 records. I'm tying one, and I'm holding one for most consecutive submissions I was tied for, and I had like most first round submissions or some shit. I don't know what it was, but long story short, I had like a couple things going for myself at a very young age. You have 2 options with what you want to do with that. You can take it and you can promote it, or you can just kind of, you know, leave it there and not let anything happen with it. And that's kind of what they did, as to where I feel like the PFL would take anything that is a positive on my end, or anything that is something to share and would make something out of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. If you see yourself at the end of this year, end of the tournament, holding the belt, what are you going to do with that $1 million prize?
To say, first I'm going to pay the taxes. You know what I mean? I don't want to get caught up with them from come and take everything out of but then guy like me, I like nice things. You know what I mean? I'm sitting in a drop top right now, fresh out of wrestling practice, feeling good, about to go inside and hydrate. But to answer your question, I think I'd take that money and maybe go, not a literal farm, but a farm in the sense of like some nice acres of land, something that I can build a house on, and have some dogs out there, some animals, be able to just have a nice little peaceful existence and still be close enough to the city. You know what I mean? I think that's nice.
For sure. How's life down there in Coconut Creek?
Oh, beautiful, bro. It's sunny. I think right now we're like 78, 79 degrees, and nice little breeze going. That's why I got the top down and just cruising the streets. You know what I mean? I love the energy down here.
Absolutely. One last thing, and I'll let you get going. How do you see this fight going, and do you have an official prediction as to how it plays out?
My official prediction is me getting my hand raised with the win. I'm not quite sure how that's going to happen yet. I think that this guy is a heavy-handed opponent, and I think that he has a lot of experience, and he's going to be confident. I think he's coming back off a loss just as I am, and he's looking to get it back and move forward in his career. Everybody's pockets is hurting last year from COVID, so you could expect all of us fighters to be on our A game and not willing to push or budge. You know what I mean? Everybody wants to collect that big prize, so let alone the 2 checks we get per fight. So I think it's going to be a good fight, a fan-friendly fight. I think it has the potential to steal the show that night. We're pretty close to the end of the prelim fight, so I think that they knew what they were doing when they stuffed us right up there before it goes into the main card. You know what I mean? Kind of keep some of those eyes and transfer them from ESPN2 to ESPN Plus.
Absolutely. I don't want you to reveal too much of your game plan, but is shooting for a takedown early kind of in the cards?
No, I don't. I never. If you look at my fights, I never shoot for takedowns early. You know what I mean? I always do my thing. Either guys take me down, or I think the one takedown I did score early was like a short notice fight against a guy who had like maybe 3 fights to my 10 or 11. So I just didn't feel comfortable even giving him an opportunity to be in there playing around with me. So I took him down. But outside of that, no, I like fan-friendly fights. It's never my style to force anything. Wrestling is a little bit of a force. Of course, you're taking the fights where you want to go, but you have to grind against the other guy and take him somewhere he doesn't want to go. That's where I'm much more water, and I drown guys.
Absolutely. Well, Jordan, thank you so much for taking the time, and I wish you the best of luck in about a month or so.
Man, I appreciate you for helping me tell my story and for the interview, and I'm sure I'll be back on here. So until next time.
Absolutely. I'll talk to you soon. Thanks, man.
My man. Later.
Appreciate it.